Well,
are we live?
live. Yep, it is going live. We're hot.
I don't have it on YouTube yet.
What do you mean?
Oh, look.
Oh, there we go. Hey. All right. So we are live, but let's give it the intro anyway. All right. Welcome to this live video here. We just went live real quick just to talk about the breaking news that's coming out of... Let me go ahead and get this. This is coming from the Kessel Run Transmissions Star Wars Network YouTube channel. And this is coming from a guy who's been breaking a lot of Star Wars scoops lately, who is Noah Outlaw. He's the same one that broke the Lando news earlier this week. Also coming from Corey Van Dyke, who is the other guy running the channel with him. And basically, that news is that in the Disney Plus Cassian Andor series that has been in development, that we just today talked about on the main show of Planet Council, that the character of Tarkin will be returning to the show. Right. Yeah. I told TJ he forgot in a matter of 10 minutes because he was driving. Brandon didn't know, but so that's going to be who's returning. It's going to be Tarkin. What are your guys' initial impressions on Tarkin coming to the series? Obviously, that Tarkin is who ends up killing Cassian in Rogue One. Spoiler alert for Rogue One right off the bat. Obviously, they don't know that they have that connection yet because this is going to be set 6 years prior to Rogue One. But what's your initial take on the news? And do you guys think this opens up this show to bring in way more characters from that era? What do you think? We'll go with you guys pick who goes first.
Brandon.
Oh, okay. Well, initial reaction. It makes sense. I think it's cool that they would bring it back. I am very skeptical as to how the audience is going to receive a Tarkin because of after the CG look of Tarkin and how people responded to that.
I didn't think it looked that bad.
I'm with you. I also didn't think it looked that bad. I'm just skeptical. I'm super excited because I loved Rogue One, but at the same time, I know people are just gonna. But that's surprising how Rogue One did so well, and how everybody that I talked to that's a Star Wars fan actually is a huge fan of Rogue One. So it was made sense to bring in stuff like that, to bring people like that in. It is intriguing as to how they're gonna move forward with this and probably spin off even more and who they can bring in. But like I said, just thinking of Tarkin in today's day and age, if you get that idea of people criticizing the casting choices like they did for Solo, and it's just I don't like that super fandom from those kind of fans, but I'm excited to see what they do with it. I mean, Disney Plus has shown us that with The Mandalorian, and I know that was beforehand, but just these live series are really well done. So hopefully they'll get it right. And I think their casting has been really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think definitely it's going to be interesting to see how they pull it off. So let me throw it to TJ with his initial thoughts. And also, what do you think? Do you think this is going to just be the exact same thing we saw in Rogue One, that now it's been a couple years, they can do it for a lot cheaper, to do it on a Disney Plus budget? What do you think about all that? And how do you think Tarkin will be portrayed in the show?
Well, first of all, this completely neglects everything I said today, because literally earlier in the podcast today, I feel like I haven't heard anything about this show.
Yeah. I was the last thing we heard was casting 2 months ago, and that was it.
No, I think it's going to be really cool. Like you said, I mean, I feel like a Disney Plus budget is just a higher budget than any other TV show because it's Disney. I don't know how much, when did Rogue One come out?
2016?
16? Yeah, I don't know how expensive it was then. I imagine it has to be cheaper now because you have it in so many more movies, I feel like.
And you think, too, the movie came out in 2016, but that probably means Tarkin was made with 2015 technology.
Yeah.
So it's like you got a 5-year advantage there.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how much he's gonna be in the show, did it say if he's like a regular character or anything, or is it just like a cameo type thing?
They have not said either way. If I had to guess, just based on him being in the show, if I had to equate it to something, I'd say probably like a Werner Herzog level role, like from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Basically, I would say similar to how much of a presence Tarkin had in Rebels, where like he's the guy behind the driving force villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that.
I mean, like I think when I first watched Rogue One, I thought it looked like a lot better than it actually was. And I've rewatched it a few times. I think like once or twice I've probably seen it since then. And it definitely, like, you can tell like that it's obviously not like him. But I like I said earlier, like I don't really think it looks like bad or anything. But like I said, I just like the moves they're making, which they're kind of exciting people where they're bringing in characters that people already know. Because like I mean, Cassian Andor, like do people even know, other than like from Rogue One, like it was he even a character before that? I'm assuming
not
right?
before that at all. No.
So I mean, to surround like these new shows, I feel like with characters that people already know. Like for example, with Mandalorian, they're bringing back, they're rumored to be casting Ahsoka and or maybe Boba Fett and Rex and etc. But I think it's a good move, and I'm actually like, it gets me a little bit more excited, I feel like, for the show, because this was another show where like I liked his character in Rogue One, but like I didn't like. It's not something I needed like a series about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Quick question. So they didn't say, because I was under the impression that since it's 6 years earlier, they would probably be casting someone rather than like, because you would play it off to say like this is a little bit younger version of Tarkin, but like I didn't say anything about like CG or casting.
Oh,
I
hadn't even thought about that. That it's 6 years.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, 6 years. You're probably going to look similar, but like as long as they can get close to it, I feel like you might be able to cast someone, and that's what my first reaction was. Like, they're going to try to cast someone. Let's hope that people are going to be like accepting of someone that's a little bit younger that may have some looks toward him. And as long as like I mentioned about like Solo, as long as they have like the same feel to him, like he has that like feel of the villain. And like you said, like just like the pushing force behind the main villain of the series, rather than like having to be there every single episode. Like you just take a couple of scenes from him to spin off from and connect the story into the Rogue One like setting. I think it'd really work. But I mean, we'll get the news later on. But I'm hoping that it's the latter, where they actually try to cast someone instead of.
So, question here. I'm going to throw this up on screen for us. This is
Jesus.
So this is basically what they did. So they took the actor Guy Henry, who basically already kind of looks like a younger version of him. Yeah. He's from like Harry Potter and stuff, and I think he was in Game of Thrones. And then basically they just morphed him into Peter Cushing. Now, what do you guys think about doing something like that? But because it's 6 years earlier, you don't have to do it as intensively. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go all the way to Peter Cushing with it.
Yeah.
So maybe you could even get away with it with makeup or even just light CGI.
Just cast him.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like you show me that first picture. If you like put it back on the screen and you show me it, like that first picture far left. Like I mean, that's a little bit younger, but like even if you like, do like the touch of gray hair and like you show like some fading in his hair, that middle picture.
Yeah, if I was Disney, I'd be like, let's go back and get this guy.
As long as, like I said, like you can see that he still has that like scowl look in his face, like, just like resting. So, like, as long as you can get someone that has that like demeanor in his face and like has like the same like mannerisms as Tarkin did in the original series, like I'd be super pumped to see what they pull off if they go with that direction of casting rather than the CG like they did for Rogue One.
Yeah. So, so I think they probably, in my opinion, I think they probably will go with Guy Henry. Whether how close he stays to looking like Guy Henry, that's I think still up in the air. But what do you think about the actual impact of this big of a character having a role? You'd assume, since it was like a big scoop type story, you'd assume it'd probably be bigger than just like a one-off cameo, one scene thing. So you see what me and TJ were talking about on the podcast earlier today was that the two other characters that have been announced are well, not officially announced, but have been basically the casting scoop has been done on them, which was Jimmy Smits coming back as Bail Organa, and then it's gonna kill me, Genevieve O'Reilly coming back to reprise her role as Mon Mothma. So you now have those two big characters now joined by this third big prequel and original trilogy character. What do you guys think this spells for the type of other characters that they're going to bring in? Like, could we get other people? Like, could we get a younger Hera or even Krennic coming back because he's still alive at this point?
Political when you put those like characters in there. Is that just me?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm pumped for that because I love the political Star Wars stuff.
And like the prequels and stuff.
Yeah, like I because also another interesting wrinkle to this is that I can never remember if they mentioned it in the movie or if it was just in the novelization, but that because obviously you have the great line where he says, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old, like that whole thing. But that in the Clone Wars, Cassian's family were separatists. They sided with Dooku, and they worked with Dooku in the Clone Wars. So maybe that's even something that you could bring up or reference or something. Also, you could bring in somebody like a Saw Gerrera, who we know at this point is doing it, and clearly what.
I can't stand his voice in in the movie or the show.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I just can't.
All right, so let's go and just say if you could have one character who fits this, or one or two, whatever you want to do for it, who fits this timeline that you want to see appear in the show, who would you go with?
Give me a Palpatine's right hand man. What's his name?
Mazamita?
Yeah.
Talking about Mazamita? Yeah. Oh my God, that would be nuts.
And
that would be so awesome.
You know what? No, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like pilots or something.
Give me
your seems that's what we're leaning towards.
You could have no, he's too young at that point. I was gonna say you could have Wedge Antilles, but he's too young. Somebody you could have in a younger role as an ISB agent, like we were talking about earlier on the podcast. You could have Kallus on the Imperial side. You could have a young Kallus show up. You had normal Kallus and hot Kallus. Now you get young Kallus.
Oh my God.
What?
Rebels. Oh my God. His name's escaping me. It's Hera, and then there's Ezra, and then there's who's like the alien guy? Like the one Zeb, yeah.
If they bring in Zeb into this show in live action, I will eat a shoe live on camera. I think maybe I'm talking about this show. I honestly think a live action Zeb is not out of the question when you're talking about possible live action Ezra.
Throw him in Mandalorian if you wanted to. I mean, you're throwing all the other ones in there.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe where Rex went at the end of Rebels was off with Zeb somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Once
a possibility in this show instead of Mandalorian,
or both.
You
could literally have the same actor play Thrawn in this show and like de-age him a little bit and have him in Mandalorian. You could have the before and the after. So like
this is all very much wishful thinking.
But that's what we said last week about the Kenobi series, and half of that came true this week. So I really think they're just kind of Lucasfilm. They're going anything goes right now. But who do you say, Brandon? If you had to pick one character in between episode 3 and 4 to join in this, hell, you could even have Darth Vader show up. Who the hell knows? I don't know.
Yeah. like I said, dream would be Ewan McGregor to just like get into some kind of series, but obviously he's in his own series going on right now.
I mean,
but,
the timeline fits. There could
yeah,
be a
it would just
crossover.
be like it'd be extra marketing, but obviously that's just dream because that was my favorite part of the prequels. But I mean, you can have I would really like to see at least some people from the prequels. I want them to tie more of the prequels into sequels. Like I want like originals or whatever, however you call them. But I want to see a bridge between those two. We saw it only with Rogue One, and then we see it with Rebels and all that other like the small intricate pieces. But I would like to see a little bit larger character that people are more familiar with from the films. Like I forget his name, but like the one in the Senate that is with Palpatine, the blue.
Mazamita.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's who we were talking about.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know his name, so I just
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
would-
think
I would
TJ
really
said
like-
that as a 60% joke, but that is a great answer. I would
Yeah.
love to see Mazamita in
Yeah,
this.
because I feel like his character was very undermined at the end of 3.
Yeah, he was a really
very
strong
big part of-
character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a very big part of Uprising for Palpatine and
Yeah.
or Palpatine or whatever. And you just like you took him, and then he just like kind of became like a
Kind of falls by the wayside towards the end of 3.
like a fill-in character, like someone.
Yeah, I think the last time you see him is when Yoda walks into the.
Yeah, when Yoda walks into the
I believe.
yeah, and he throws to people. Yeah, and like he just like walks out. But
Yeah, Mazamita actually has a really, really badass moment in the Vader comic, in the second run of the Vader comics. I know I've talked to TJ about it, but it's in the second run of Vader comics, it's like, okay, what did Anakin do as soon as the credits rolled on episode 3? Like, boom, go. Great series. But Mazamita is the one, he holds a public basically a public forum that's broadcast to the whole galaxy in front of the Jedi Temple, where Mazamita throws in individually every Jedi's lightsaber and burns them in front of the whole galaxy. Because after Order 66, like he names off each Jedi and he throws it in there and stuff. Yeah, exactly. So he's definitely a very integral character to this entire time period. I can't believe it's turned into Mazamita talk, but I definitely would be very excited to see him in this. I think he's a great choice. I also think we're talking about flashbacks in the other Disney Plus shows. If you're talking flashbacks in this one, seriously, like it's awful because like these sound like joke answers because like the prequel characters for so long have been a joke, but like now this is a really opportunity to ground them and to make them better. What if you have like Poggle the Lesser or like Wat Tambor in a flashback? You know what I mean? Like with Cassian's family working with the Separatists, and you have you had the Wat Tambor arc. He was part of the Bad Batch arc in this season of the Clone Wars, but like that would be a cool way to bring in a character that like we all already know, because obviously in a dream situation you could bring Dooku back, but you don't have Christopher Lee, unfortunately. But yeah, I think this Tarkin news really, really draws back to the fact that I think they're going big with this show. Sorry, just 1 second.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like grabbing at the popular thing to do with what you can do, and having the ability to do that when you know that it worked in Rogue One is something that I feel like with the success of Mandalorian, they don't feel as threatened as to fail as I feel like they would have been with Rogue One and had more leeway with his character. So it is quite exciting now that like we're processing information, and also like to the point of bringing in animated characters from the Clone Wars and the Rebels. But just being able to bring characters like that into like the live action world is something that like would draw a fan base back to watch those TV shows, because people I know have not watched them like at all, and like
Mhm.
refuse to watch them because, you know, whatever it may be. But it can definitely like it's that effect where like, and I've done it playing video games, I've done it watching movies. If I watch a movie and it ties back into something like Glass last year,
Mhm.
and I went back and I watched
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable and Split.
So
Mhm.
Bruce Willis one. Well, I'd seen Split before.
Oh, okay.
But like, I went back and I knew that was a tie back to that movie, but I like never watched it. But like, if I wanted to go see Glass, I wanted to go see Unbreakable. So it was just like tying movies together rather than like what you would want from a series or whatever, like a cam or canon for a
Mhm.
TV show.
Yeah, I just think I think bottom line, I think this show is just going to be really, really awesome. It's definitely this news, I would say, has hiked it up a little bit on my list of anticipated for the Star Wars Disney Plus output. Just because I really think what TJ talked about earlier is the political aspect of it. Like I said, I love the political side of the prequels and of Star Wars in general, but obviously it was mostly in the prequels. I'm just really excited to see that world explored. And I'm also excited to see kind of, you know, in Rogue One, you see him shoot that informant just because the informant wouldn't shut up. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'd be interested to see some of the shady stuff that the rebellion had to get up to. You know what I mean? Like, because for a while, the Ghost Crew, they were cut off from the rest of the rebellion, so they were doing more, you know, like getting supply shipments and stuff. But like the actual down and dirty espionage spy work was being done by people like Cassian, and that's the down and dirty stuff. Like, I will say one thing: the main thing I want to see in here is I want to see live action underworld of Coruscant, and I think this is going to.
If I could get some more live action Imperial spies, that'd be great too. I'm a big fan of those costumes, the almost witch doctor looking costumes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see, like, gears are turning in my head now that I'm like processing everything. If they do use Tarkin as like, I won't say major role, but even if they like show his rise through the ranks of the Imperial like levels, like, I think that would be huge too. Like if he's in charge of something and he gets promoted because he does something, and like you see his rise is like parallel to what's going on in the show, I think that would be a huge draw and connection to A, Rogue One, and B, the originals. Like you can see that.
I also just thought, just realized this is the first show that could give us the potential of having. This is really getting outlandish and out there, but this show could give us the potential of having Sheev Palpatine, Darth Vader, Thrawn, Tarkin, Krennic, and Maul all in the same room. Which is like very, oh, look at this. I wonder who this could be. Look at this. We got David Monk. Look at this. It's very exciting to see the enthusiasm for the saga 4+ decades old. Star Wars will never end. The possibilities are endless. Well, I agree with that. Thank you for our one viewer there, my father.
TJ.
All right. So does anybody have any other bits they want to throw in here? Anything else that maybe they're looking forward to in this series, or anything based on this news?
No, this is really all of the information I have. I feel like,
yeah, I mean,
this me who's in it, and that's about it.
And that's another thing too. That's like kind of awesome about it is that it's still so early on. You know what I mean? Like they haven't even started filming yet. Like we talked about earlier today, they were going to be.
Like, they were ready to go in March. Like they
were. They were ready to start shooting in March. I'm honestly surprised there's not more casting and character information out there. But you'd have to assume this show is going to hit the ground running as soon as the studio's ready to go again. You know, the funny thing is that like the benefit of Mando was that it was the first live action Star Wars filmed in LA. Now you can't film live action Star Wars in LA right now. If they were still filming it in London, they could have kept rolling. But who knows? Maybe if it goes too long, maybe they'll move some of the Disney Plus production over to London, over to Pinewoods. But either way, it's going to be really, really interesting to keep an eye out to see what is going on with this show. And, you know, if we could actually get an official date, that would be awesome. But with that, yeah, I think my name is Sean Monk. You say your name?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm TJ Cornwell. Sorry, I thought Brandon was going to go next because he's next on the screen, but whatever.
No, and I'm Brandon Friedman, the guest.
All right. And from me, TJ, and the guest, remember, the Force will be with you always.